Welcome to The Catalyst, an exciting and insightful podcast produced by Northeast Iowa Community College. I'm your host, Amy Lasik. Together, we'll explore the people, programs, and partnerships that make Northeast Iowa Community College unique. From student success stories to behind-the-scenes info about athletics, innovation, and industry collaboration, each episode dives deeper into your community's college. Get ready for an inside look at the impact of community-driven education at NICC. Welcome to the first ever episode of The Catalyst, the official podcast of Northeast Iowa Community College. I'm your host, Amy Lasik, and we are super excited to get this podcast off the ground so we can best share all the great things happening at NICC. So we often hear the phrase, well, I didn't know NICC did that. And we hope that this podcast can be one vessel that will help share all the activities, projects, and stories that we're so very proud of here at Northeast Iowa Community College. For our first episode today, we thought we would start off big and bring in a guest that helps NICC steering in the right direction. And I'd like to welcome our interim president, Dave Dahms. Dave, thank you.
Morning, Amy.
So, Dave, one of the reasons we felt it was important to have you as our first guest on the podcast was because it was important to share the larger vision of NICC and community colleges in Iowa, but also to give the community a chance to get to know you. So we'll be talking about a lot of different things today in our short time together. Are you ready to buckle in and dive right in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Maybe just share a little bit about your background, your career journey. What brought you to NICC to begin with?
Okay. Well, probably not traditional for presidents and community colleges. You know, I spent most of my career in the private sector and with various roles and responsibilities in finance and administration. And through that, with multiple industries I was in and the companies I worked for, gave me a pretty vast experience and depth of experience working with various individuals and departments and customers. And, you know, the majority of my career was spent with one company for about 20 years. And we were very customer service oriented, as well as the professional development and promotion of education internally and externally with our customers, to the point where we developed and built our own learning center. And it was built for internal education for our staff, as well as a wing for all of our customers to come in and be trained as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it was, and that was our culture. Our culture was one of continuous improvement. And so when the opportunity came here about 10 years ago to be a part of higher ed, there was a lot of synergies that matched up to what I had been in the atmosphere I'd been in previously.
Yeah, that's kind of a natural transition then for you because you already had one foot in an environment where education was very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, throughout your journey, both in the private sector and now at NICC, how have you shaped your leadership style, or how would you describe your leadership style?
One that is, my approach to it is being a very good listener and understanding what people are saying, and not trying to come to immediate conclusions, but being inclusive of what you look at and what information you need to understand, and taking that from a variety of sources, whether that's individuals or committees are formed, internal and external information, but bringing that back in and making an informed decision. And even though it may be a situation that it's more of a short-term change, always making sure that what you're doing leans into the long-term objective of the institution.
Well, and I bet you've had a lot of people that wanted to bend the president's ear since you've been in this role, so that listening skill probably comes in real handy for you.
Well, and you know, the other, I got to tell you, when I started my first job out of college, I was very fortunate to have a supervisor that was very patient
Mm.
and was a very good listener because, and I learned a lot from him
Oh,
for the short 3 years I was with him, but that has taken me a long way.
oh, that's so cool when you think back and can remember mentors or people that you've learned from and it shapes who you are today.
Yeah, there's been some individuals in my career that have been instrumental to moving me along and setting direction, helping me set direction to where I wanted to move to and grow. So I've been very fortunate.
That's awesome. So you've been in this role now for almost 2 years. Does that sound right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you enjoyed about it?
Well, there's quite a few things actually. I think even though from where I was before, I interacted with a lot of different individuals across the college, but this certainly has opened up the touch points that I have every day, internally and externally, with individuals or committees or businesses or what have you, that I think has been a real joy
Mm,
because every day is different. Every conversation, has is different, and being able to be a part of working with a lot of great people internally and being out in the public working and having conversations with other leaders and communities and businesses has been very enjoyable. It's been a pretty fast-paced time, so it's I think one of the things that maybe was um, uh, different about it is just how each day, even though you think you got your day planned, um, that's not necessarily the case most of the time.
I imagine your brain has been pretty full this last couple years with all the different people that you've had an opportunity to meet and all the different facets of things that you've been able to get involved with.
Well, that sure has. And, I think part of it is the fact of how we have brought about opportunities to connect with businesses
Mhm.
through business and community solutions and having those meetings and bringing in individuals to um, get input from and help us guide our programming as just as well as, internally where we've now kicked off our strategic plan. So the last year actually has been extremely busy internally and externally as well with conversations and developing our mission, vision, and values, and now developing and moving forward on the goals that have been agreed to. So
That's
it's
great.
exciting.
Has anything surprised you the last couple of years?
Um, I don't know if it's a surprise or not, but I think just the fact of the environment that we all work in, we being all the community colleges, and from the changes from federal government and the challenges internally in Iowa,
Sure.
has been a real eye opener this last year because there has been a lot more uncertainty of things that we've had to deal with.
Hmm.
And that has just put another layer on to how do we move NICC forward in this type of environment.
Yeah, I imagine too, with the strategic plan being developed this last year and having to take a look at the vision and what our priorities are, that's enabled you to really take a look at all of those different pieces. So, now that the strategic plan has been started, what are the priorities for NICC this next 3 years?
Next year. Well, the departments and all the goals are now linked together. And, if you were to try to narrow down where our emphasis is, it's continuing to build a very strong, robust internal body of faculty and staff working together
Hmm.
and building the commitment and the collaboration on everything that we do so that the college as a whole has understanding and buy-in to the direction. And that's extremely important. Um, given limited resources and the fact that there are things that we need to move forward on, and we can't take a lot of time debating about it. Once
Right.
we've gone through the decision-making process and we've included individuals and committees that needed to be a part of it, then we need to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, our communities and our businesses expect that from us. I mean, they're looking for new solutions. They're looking for us to be um, a leader in our communities, and the the best way we can do that is to do that collectively, with all of the employees of NICC moving in the same direction.
That's great.
So, my expectation is that that provides then different avenues of programming. It provides us to look at how we support businesses from what we do today, but how we support them um, in a more robust way.
Mm-hmm.
With we're being able to be flexible and being able to change quickly as the environment changes. So, excuse me. Um, the success of the college is the ability to continue to meet student needs, support them wherever we can,
Right.
as well as working with businesses and leaders in our communities.
Yeah, I think one of the real strengths of NICC is exactly what you said, is that we can respond to those needs that we're hearing from our students and from the workforce and our businesses and our communities. And that's one of the great things about working here, is that you get a chance to interact with everybody out in the community and make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the meetings and the information sharing events that we've had, you've seen, at least I've seen the enthusiasm and the acceptance of business leaders and community leaders wanting to be a part of the college and wanting um, to be a part of moving our communities forward.
100%. It's so nice to hear that about the value that NICC can bring everybody. So a big part of the role of interim president is being the face of the college, but also having to listen and learn from everybody. How do you balance that? That's quite a bit.
Well, actually, um, if you live our mission, vision, and values,
Hmm.
I mean, then everything else should come naturally. Um, and how we work together internally resembles how we work externally.
Mm.
And so when I'm talking to individuals outside the college, it's reiterating what our vision is and the values that we've all agreed to work with, and the four priorities that the college is moving forward on. And I mean, that conversation needs to be the same as we talk externally as what we do internally. And the more that I think um, communities, leaders, and business leaders can understand that this is who we are and this is the direction they're going, it will help them understand the college and I think build stronger relationships.
Yeah, you mentioned our values. So one of the things that this last year that we did was reevaluate our values. And I have to tell you, we have a catchy song that we put together at the college, and it makes remembering those values very easy: respect, innovate, serve, and engage. How do you bring those values in what you do at NICC?
Well, I think to me, it's daily life. And I'll go back to where I worked most of my career, and we had um, um, guiding principles and cultural practices as part of our mission and vision. And they were much more lengthy than what we have here. But they were actually the four we have were the four already embedded in what most of my career included. So when we talk about that, to me it's natural because that's how we should operate.
Yeah.
That's who should we should be and
Mhm.
how we should work together.
That's what makes it such a great place to work. is that feeling that
Absolutely.
you know that that's here. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh, how do you approach decision making in your role? Because what we do at NICC impacts so many different constituents, students, employees, partners. What are the things that you think about when you have to make a decision?
Well, I think first is what are we really trying to accomplish? And what is that end result? And once we understand what that is, then who needs to be a part of those discussions to be able to get the most informed decision? Um, but having said that, it really needs to then lean back into what is our long-term goals,
Mm-hmm.
and does that support the goals that the colleges has just agreed to for the next 3 years? Because everything has to support where we're moving forward. If it doesn't, then why are we having the discussion, and why are we talking? What are we trying to accomplish if it doesn't support our goals and our mission and vision? So it's looking more short term, but it's also making sure that long term would be consistent in the direction we want this college to move towards.
And having that strategy to help guide things, in particular, as you mentioned earlier, with some of the funding issues that colleges all across the country are facing, being strategic about those decisions, I'm sure is very top of mind.
Well, it does provide that um, we need to be very diligent about what is going on around us,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that as things change, we need to be flexible enough to move with that change. I can't be concerned about things that we don't control. I do
Right.
have to be concerned about the things that we do control, because that in itself helps us adjust and make adjustments as things go on around us that we may not have anticipated, or we knew were going to be maybe coming up on us, and now we have to make internal adjustments to
Yes.
accommodate that.
I'm going to switch a little bit and talk about community and workforce because that's an area that I'm not sure a lot of people understand the role community colleges play in community and workforce. NICC plays such a big role in workforce development in our region. How do you describe the role the college plays in that and the evolving piece of that every day it changes?
True. You know, I think that this college has always been good in its relationships with businesses and industry. Um, but their needs are continue to change, and our ability to be more connected with them, to have opportunities to have more conversations, whether they're structured or casual, but being able to build those relationships that um, when we hear of something that's moving in their world, we're able to support and adjust accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got such a variety of industry in our area of the college, throughout our division. Manufacturing, healthcare. I mean, it is such a wide spread base of businesses that in itself is a challenge, right? Because we have to understand their markets, we have to understand their challenges, and they're all different. Um, and the closer that we can be with them, and the better off that I think we're able to serve. Um, our commitment to the communities is to be a partner with activities that are going on within our cities and our towns, and support those activities, um, and having that outward face, and being a good steward.
The one thing I always say is that community college is does only as well as the communities do. So if the communities aren't thriving because we don't have employers that are here and finding the workforce that they need, that it that can our students aren't finding what they need then because we want our students to be gainfully employed when they leave here and they can find everything that they want to for their future.
Exactly. Yeah. And as students come to us for the programs we offer, and how we can build relationships with businesses for internships and other types of scholarship type programs that could be developed to help students as they come through and graduate from us and move right into industry in our district is the end goal, right?
Yeah. So what's something most people at NICC might be surprised to learn about you?
Well, I don't know. I, I think, as a kid growing up, my off time was more woodworking and craft type stuff like that. And that migrated into, things that I do at home is um, what that kind of gives me a little relief is getting behind the stove and cooking and providing different dishes is that maybe you can't necessarily get down at a restaurant downtown. And
Fun.
it's a release a release to me, but goes back to being able to create something. So
Dave, I am taking notes. I think you might be able to teach one of our BCS classes,
no,
Cooking
I
with the
don't know
President.
about
I love it.
that.
Well, I thought might be fun to end our podcast just with some quick fire questions. If you're game, ask you a couple questions and allow other people to get to know you a little bit. Are you ready for that?
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So, first question, what's your go-to coffee order or morning drink?
Well, that's pretty simple. Coffee and cream.
Just coffee and cream, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I know it's boring, but that's what it is.
All right. So, if you weren't working in higher ed or finance, what job do you think you would have?
Well, that's another easy one to answer. I would be working at retirement. So,
That's fantastic. All right. So, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
um, I don't know. I think just back to the fact that, how I try to um, de-stress during the evenings or weekends is it's just finding things to do, whether it's walking the dog or getting behind the stove, just something that takes my mind away from what I've been doing all day long.
Oh, well, I'm a dog person. What kind of dog do you have, and what's your dog's name?
He's a cockapoo and his name is Chester.
Oh, cute. What's your favorite way to spend a Sunday afternoon?
Kind of depends on the time of the year, but normally it's by the middle of the afternoon, I will say that it's starting to get my head wrapped around for the next week. So, I try to use Saturday and Sunday morning to kick back and just do things around the house or whatever we're doing. But by the time Sunday afternoon rolls around, it's time to get the thoughts back in order again.
Yeah, get
So
ready for the week, huh?
that's right.
Is there a book or movie you've reread or rewatched more than one time?
Well, it kind of goes back to how many movies, there's always movies that continually rerun year after year after year. So that's probably where I've seen the most because I'm not one that goes to the theater. But so if I had to pick the movies that I would probably watch more often would be the ones like a Clint Eastwood movie or something like that that continues to come back year after year and it's
Aw.
just there. So I'm flipping channels. There it is. Let's just watch that.
Uh, where's a place you'd like to visit but you haven't been to yet?
There's several, but one place that I really do want to go to is Upper Maine. I've
Mm,
been to Vermont, New Hampshire, and it's beautiful up there, but I've
it
never
is.
gone farther to the Northeast, and that is on my list.
I was just looking at pictures of the national park up in Maine, and it's gorgeous.
It is in the summertime. I don't know if I want to be there in the winter, but
Yeah, probably not. uh, do you have a favorite local restaurant or a guilty pleasure food stop?
oh, we've got a lot of great restaurants in the Decorah area, and they're all different menus. So, I mean, we frequent all of them. I'd say probably going back to your Sunday afternoon question, if it's a nice day, we'll Laura and I will go out for ice cream and we'll grab some and then head to the upper Iowa River and eat ice cream. And summertime, we'll watch the kayakers go by. So,
Oh, beautiful. Decor is so pretty. They have a wonderful waterfall up there. I love going to.
yeah, yeah, very
Um,
nice.
what's a small thing that always makes your day better?
I think coming into the office or coming to the campus buildings and just seeing people having smiles on their face and engaging with one another and having just good conversation. And I think that is just such a wonderful thing to see. And it just makes your day start off well.
That's been very evident this last couple weeks with classes starting up again and seeing students' smiles and staff and faculty so excited.
Yes, it's a great time of year.
What's your recharge method? Are you a person that likes to read, walk, or do you like complete silence? How do you recharge your battery?
Well, normally it's Chester and I going for a walk. Most of the time it's his idea, not mine, but it's
Isn't it always?
but I do enjoy that because it gets me out of the house, gets some exercise and um, gets me thinking about other things. So
That's great.
um, yeah.
So you talked a little bit about your first manager, but what was your very first job and what did it teach you?
So when I graduated from college, I was fortunate enough to get a position in a company in Des Moines, and I was a division office for a large soybean processing oil company, and I was the assistant division finance manager, and that was the individual that um, told me how to work with employees and being compassionate, um, being patient, um, being a good mentor, and doing that in a way, but making sure that what you're doing correctly and precisely, and having the integrity to carry out your function at work. Um, but he was the one that I think really set the stage of how I appreciated how individuals should work together within a business environment.
That's great. Well, Dave, that was so much fun. Thanks for playing along, being a good sport. And believe it or not, we've already hit the end of our first podcast episode. That went by very quickly. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we'd love to have you back again to share more about what's happening at NICC in the future.
Okay, sounds good, Amy. Thank you.
Great. And thank you all for joining us as we hoped you enjoyed this very first episode of The Catalyst. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Catalyst. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Want to learn more about NICC and the many ways we support our students, partners, and community? Visit nicc.edu for more resources and upcoming opportunities. This podcast is produced by Northeast Iowa Community College and hosted by Amy Lasik, with producer Tessa Hill, audio engineer Andrew Saunders, story editor Doug Ropa, and graphic designer Ashley Konzen.